There's a strange feeling you might have noticed lately, a sense that everything is starting to look the same. You arrive in a new city, and somehow it feels like the last one. The same glass buildings, the same chain stores, the same cafe selling the same coffee served by people dressed in the same style. Even airports, once symbols of adventure, now feel like identical waiting rooms copied and pasted across the planet. Everything seems manufactured. Originality and uniqueness are fading qualities, and many of the things we entertain ourselves with have become repetitive and overly abundant. It's as if our planet has lost its magic and life, its mystery. It's not just places. People feel familiar too. The jokes, the clothes, the trends, the conversations, they repeat themselves like recycled scripts. Even our experiences, the ones we used to dream about, now feel strangely predictable. What once felt mysterious now feels prepackaged. What once felt thrilling now feels routine. The world is still massive, but for some reason it doesn't feel massive anymore. It feels smaller, flatter, less alive. So a quiet question forms at the back of your mind. What happened to wonder? Why does life feel less exciting, less strange, and less magical than it used to? And more importantly, can we ever get that feeling back? There was a time, not very long ago, when the world felt enormous. When you heard about a city on the other side of the planet, it didn't just feel far away. It felt like another universe entirely. You couldn't instantly look it up. You couldn't watch 100 travel vlogs filmed in 4K. All you had were a few photos, a small paragraph in a book, or the blurry story someone told you. And somehow, that was enough to make your imagination ignite like wildfire. A single picture of New York could make it feel like a city made of pure electricity. A short documentary about Egypt could make it feel like a land of ancient magic. Even a simple map, just lines and shapes on paper, could fill your mind with entire worlds you hadn't seen yet. Back then, the distance created mystery, and the mystery created excitement. Because the truth is, not knowing was the source of wonder. The gaps, the blank spaces, the places you could only imagine, they made the world feel bigger, richer, and more enchanting. When information was limited, your mind had to do the work. It had to fill in the missing details, and in doing so, it made everything feel more alive. Then something subtle, but enormous, happened. Technology arrived, and with it came a kind of X-ray vision for the entire planet. Before you ever set foot in a foreign city, you can already walk its streets on Google Street View. Before you try a cafe, you've read 100 reviews telling you exactly what the latte will taste like. Before you even book a flight, YouTube has already shown you the best places to eat, the hidden gems, the overrated spots, the prices, the crowds, everything. We used to imagine what a place might feel like. Now we preview it like a product listing. And because of that, the world changed. Not physically, mountains are still mountains, oceans are still oceans, but emotionally. The sense of entering the unknown, of stepping into something unpredictable has faded. We often arrive already knowing what we will see, what we will do, and even how we're supposed to feel about it. The adventure is still there in a technical sense, but the discovery feels weaker. It feels spoiled by familiarity. This isn't about saying technology is bad. It isn't. In many ways, it has made life easier, safer, and more convenient than ever. But convenience has a cost. And one of the things it quietly took from us is mystery. The emotional depth that comes from not knowing, from stepping into something larger than your imagination can fill. Travel wasn't always a weekend hobby or something you squeezed between annual leaves. Once upon a time, travel was a serious undertaking. Slow, risky, and full of uncertainty. A journey across the sea meant weeks of storms, sickness, and the real possibility of never returning. Crossing a desert meant danger, exhaustion, and trust in strangers. Even taking a train to another country felt like entering a different world, with languages you didn't speak, customs you didn't understand, and landscapes you had never seen before. Because of this friction, this resistance, travel carried meaning. It wasn't just movement, it was transformation. The journey itself changed you. You left home as one person and came back as someone slightly different, someone shaped by discomfort, by delay, by risk, by the feeling of standing far from everything familiar. But today, travel is efficient, predictable, packaged. You book a ticket, open an app, check the weather, review the hotel, watch 5 vlogs about top 10 things to do. And by the time you arrive, you already have a mental script. The experience is still enjoyable, still valuable, but it's often less transformative, not because the world has lost its beauty, but because the uncertainty that once stretched us has quietly disappeared. Modern travel is more convenient, yes, but it's also less life-defining. It gives us movement without metamorphosis, a journey without the weight that once made it unforgettable. The same loss of mystery shows up in one of the most human parts of life: dating. There was a time when meeting someone required chance, courage, and a little bit of fate. You saw someone at a bookstore, or at a cafe, or walking out of class, and your heart did that strange electric thing. You didn't know who they were. You didn't know their personality, their interests, or whether they were even interested in you. All you had was eye contact, a moment of tension, and the bravery it took to walk over and say something. Anything. That uncertainty wasn't comfortable, but it was alive. It created a spark because your mind had to imagine the rest. The unknown made the moment meaningful. But today, dating has become more mechanical. We scroll through people the way we scroll through playlists. Endless options, endless profiles, endless chances to replace one face with another. More choice sounds like a good thing, but it comes with a strange side effect. Depth becomes optional. People begin to feel interchangeable, like items in an online store. And because of that, the mystery that once made attraction so powerful becomes weaker. The deeper idea here is simple. When everything becomes available, nothing feels rare anymore. And the moment something stops feeling rare, it stops feeling magical. And then there's globalization, the invisible force connecting everything while quietly making everything look alike. You can fly across half the planet, step out of the airport, and see the same brands glowing above the streets, the same restaurants, the same clothing stores, the same coffee chains with the same interior design, selling the same drinks in the same cups. Even the architecture of modern cities is beginning to blur together. Glass towers, polished malls, minimalist apartments, different places with the same face. What once made a city feel unique, its texture, its quirks, its local character, is slowly being replaced by a global template, a standardized style designed for efficiency and familiarity. You could be in Kuala Lumpur, Seoul, Dubai, or Toronto, and unless you look closely, it becomes hard to tell where you actually are. This sameness isn't an accident. It's the result of a world optimized for convenience, speed, and recognizability. And while that optimization does bring benefits, comfort, safety, predictability, it also removes something older and deeper. It removes the feeling of stepping into a different world. It flattens culture into a kind of global aesthetic where everything is new, yet nothing is surprising. And that's one of the reasons life feels flatter. Not because the world lost its beauty, but because everything is becoming familiar, even the places we've never been. When you step back and look at it all, the truth becomes clear. Modern life hasn't destroyed the world's beauty. Mountains are still high, oceans are still vast, cities are still full of life. What has changed is how the world feels to us. It feels less strange, less unpredictable, less alive, and strangeness, mystery, uncertainty, the unknown. That is what gives life its depth. Mystery gives meaning, distance creates longing, uncertainty creates discovery. The problem isn't that the world has become empty. The problem is that it has become too visible, too efficient, too familiar. The gaps that once made imagination spark, that once made our hearts beat faster, have slowly been filled in for us. And maybe the real challenge today isn't to travel farther, see more, or consume more experiences. Maybe the challenge is simpler and harder, to recover our ability to be amazed again, to let the unknown surprise us, to let life feel strange, wild, and alive once more. The world is still full of wonder. It hasn't disappeared. It hasn't shrunk. It hasn't gone anywhere. We have just built too many systems, algorithms, maps, reviews, guides that show it to us before we can truly feel it. And in showing everything too soon, they quietly take away the awe that comes from discovering it for ourselves. Thank you for watching.